Mr. Finstad, you're now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Bacon. Thank you, Ranking Member Khanna, and thank you to our witnesses for being here today. Throughout your testimony, both with us today and the written submitted testimony, we have heard much about the importance of the innovation and rapid development that is needed to continue our current defense posture, and the importance of a strong industrial base has been made abundantly clear by all of you. So I want to turn my questions to Mr. Beck. I probably have more than 5 minutes will allow, but I would love to hear your thoughts at some point in regards to your experience both at Apple and the way a thought and idea becomes a reality in that sector, in that setting, versus what you're currently experiencing, and what are the good and bads that we can take from that. But that will be for a different time. But you did spur a couple thoughts for me. And so over the last 10 years, we've seen nearly 50% reduction in the number of businesses within the defense industrial base. Most businesses that left were small businesses. I often hear from the small businesses and contracting officers in the DoD and other agencies are hesitant to take risk on new contractors, thereby making them more likely to select older, larger, and more well-established contractors. I represent a rural-ish district in Minnesota. Minnesota, we have a lot of builders, innovators. We have welders. We have plastic molding companies. We have AI startups. We have a lot of these small businesses. I appreciate the DoD and its contract officers are trying to be effective stewards of taxpayer dollars, but this does create a challenge in rebuilding the defense industrial base. So, Mr. Beck, how can the DoD and Congress work together to enable the DoD and its contracting officers to take smart, calculated risks on new entrants? And you mentioned the culture of risk. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so this is something that I would love to take up with that offer to spend a whole lot more time and talk about, because I think there's an enormous amount that we can unpack here about how we really need to change the approach to risk, and I think that's what Chairman Bacon was getting at as well in his question. Maybe a couple of thoughts off the bat of concrete things that we're doing. And so first of all, just, DIU's focus very much is on the very best tech that's coming from the commercially derived sector, but the majority of it ends up actually being from small businesses. So about 80%, almost 90% of the work that DIU does is with non-traditionals. About 2/3 of it is with small businesses, and about 1/3 of those is their first time working with the department. So we spend an enormous amount of time with exactly the kinds of companies that you're talking about. And a huge part of what that's about is creating an opportunity that is more porous to their ability to deliver. And I'll just give one concrete example. The requirements process that we have as a department, when you look at it from, say, my used to be at Apple perspective, it's crazy. Because you basically start out with potentially a 300-page detailed requirements document that goes and tells the tech sector exactly what thing you think you want them to build. But they're the experts in the technology. So what we do at DIU is turn that on its head through the CSO process that Mr. Rumford referred to, where we start with a needs statement. What's the problem we're trying to solve, right? What is that problem? And then we ask the tech sector to come back with their answers. And they only have a couple weeks to do it, which means they can't go off and invent something from nowhere over 6 months or a year. They've got to have technology that's pretty close, and we don't ask them for a 300-page response. We ask them for a maybe 10-page PowerPoint or 2-page memo that says, here's the tech, here's how it would make a difference, and we use that to down select to a smaller number that we'll go a bit deeper with over the next few weeks or months before we make a final selection on several prototype contracts. Just that one action opens the aperture dramatically, because if you're a small company, it's very hard for you to put together a 100 or 200 or 300 page thing, especially if there are 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or 12 different parts of the department that are all showing up saying, I'm the opportunity that has a potential to scale.
I appreciate that, and again, this is probably a cold beverage of your choice and a couple hours of a conversation, but I'm very intrigued, and this is refreshing to hear your thoughts. And again, the small businesses that I represent, I hear quite often that they have ideas, they're innovators, they're builders, and they just don't know that entryway in. And I think the more clear that we can make that, the better opportunity we have to build our defense industrial base. So I appreciate your time, and Mr. Chair, I yield back.
Thank you. Ms. Houlihan.